Okay guys, you all said you wanted a tutorial, so I guess here goes. I'm going to edit this picture of Brooke and then just kind of explain what I'm doing to help out my fellow photographers. First thing, of course, you always want to do is create a new layer. So you can right click, duplicate layer. Keyboard shortcut with Windows is you can always also just hit Control J and that will duplicate the layer. Um, First thing first, you want to remove any blemishes that your subject has. So you go right over here, select your patch tool, just zoom in, and let's see, got just a few. Brooke has pretty nice skin. I'm just going to go ahead and take some of those out. Basically, you circle it to select it, and then you click within it and just kind of drag it over to a clearer area of skin. So, alright. Just any little blemishes or spots that look like they may not belong. So here you can see the difference in just that alone. Another good thing that you can do with that is kind of remove any dark under eye area that you may have, which she doesn't have a lot, but you can select that and then just kind of drag it over, and that will brighten and lighten that just a little bit. Okay, so that's the first step. Next thing I'm going to do is contour and highlight. So first I'm going to merge all my layers, which I could have right clicked and then selected merge visible, but I just used keyboard shortcuts, so it was Shift Control E, and that put those back together on the background. So next thing I'm going to do is create my new layer. Just to have that there, I'm going to go here to an adjustment layer of curves. Curves, this is your shadows, these are your midtones, these are your highlights. Everyone should know this. You're just going to bring the shadows down just a little bit so that you get a decent shadow in there. You have your layer mask here. You're going to hit Control I to invert that. Go over here to your brush and just make sure that it's white. Select your brush. You can change the size by right clicking. And with this we're going to contour, so anywhere that we need shadow. So I'm going to put in a little bit in her cheek area, around the hairline. Oh, that was a little too much. Here we go. Right underneath in the neck area. Gonna give her a little more definition in the collarbones, and then pretty much anywhere in the picture that needs or has shadowing. This is just going to give it a little bit more of a 3D kind of feel to the photo, which I'll be able to show you guys in just a minute. I have a laptop so you can hear me clicking, but I think it'll be okay. Right. Add just a little bit in the chest area here. I'm going to take my eraser and make sure my opacity isn't at 100% because I don't want to fully erase that. And I'm just going to erase the areas where it was a little too heavy, but we still needed just a little. It's a little heavy in the cheeks. There we go. I'm going to go back to my brush, which is the B button. I'm going to zoom in, and then here on her lips, we're going to do just a little on the outside of the bottom, and then the top. It gives kind of a fuller lip look. I'm going to make my brush a little bit bigger, and then we're going to do a little more definition on the sides of her nose. So there we go, back to full screen. And even with just that, you can see the difference. You know, you have your eye here, and if your eye is deselected, then you can't see. I'm going to turn the eye off from my background so that it's not visible. Go to my layer 1 and merge my layers to visible. Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing over again with the curves. Then I'm going to take my midtones here and lighten them up a little bit. This way we can do the contouring, or excuse me, the highlighting. There we go, same thing. You're going to hit Control I, invert, select your brush. Anywhere that the picture needs to be lightened, so let's do some under the eyebrows there. We're going to do up the bridge of her nose and make the brush a little bit bigger so that we can get in the forehead area without it being too strong. There we go. I'm going to brighten it up under the eyes. If I can get my brush size. There we go. Upper lip. and the chin, and then other areas, just like I said earlier, to give that kind of 3D effect. And just paint that on. And you can also add some in the hair. It's going to add a little bit more definition as far as the hair is concerned. And then you can take your eraser, which is E, and then I don't have my opacity all the way up. It's at 30%. And I'm just going to click a few times just to erase anywhere where it's just a little strong. And same thing, I'm going to merge that visible. So just with what we've done so far, there you can see the difference that has already made, which I think is a pretty big difference if you ask me. Then we're going to merge these visible. One thing I like to do before I do that way I can always go back, is right over here you have this tool called snapshot. Basically is just your history, and you can take a snapshot here so that like here's the original image and here's my first snapshot of where I'm at now. I like to do that before I merge any of my layers permanently. That way if I do a lot and can't go back that far, I always have that snapshot of my history to go back to. Next thing I'm going to do is smooth her skin out a little bit. So we're going to create the new layer. I'm going to go to Filter, Blur. I use Gaussian Blur. Everybody kind of does it a little bit differently. I usually like to keep the radius, let's see, in the 20s. Okay, then you're going to add a layer mask, which if you don't know how to use layer masks, please look it up, learn it. It makes everything so much easier. Alright, so we're going to do that, and Control I, it's this button right here if you didn't catch that. That's your mask. Control I to invert it. You're going to take your brush and basically paint over all of the skin areas. It looks really strong right now, but we're going to fix it, so bear with me. You want to make sure you don't go over the eyebrows. You don't want to go over the nostrils or anything like that, because at that point you're just going to lose definition in your photo. So make sure you get under the eyebrows but not actually on them. And of course, it's not all about just the face. You have to make it all look pretty even. So let me go get the rest of the skin there. And oh, that was entirely too strong for her hand, so let me just get that. Okay, now this is kind of ridiculous looking, so we're going to take the opacity and just lower that until it doesn't look quite so strong, usually about 30%, and you can just kind of see the difference there. It's just enough to kind of flatten out you know, your highlights and shadows there that are a little too strong without making it look completely overdone. Right, and then we're going to merge those visible as well. Next thing we'll work on is the eyes. You're going to hit Control J for your new layer. Then you're going to come over here. You have your dodge tool and your burn tool. Dodge is brighten, burn is darken. And obviously we want to lighten in the eye area. So you're going to take your dodge tool and come over here to our eyes. We want to lighten up the iris, not the actual whites of the eyes, because it looks kind of, I don't know, in my opinion, it looks a little bit crazy when people's eye whites are ridiculously white. Same thing with their teeth. You do want to take these little areas right here called catchlights. You just click on those a bunch to brighten those up. Basically, makes the, that was an accident. My computer's kind of crazy. There we go. Undone. Alright, there we go. Just click on those a bunch to brighten those up. Okay, and then if I zoom out, you can see the difference that that's made. Not done yet though. I'm going to go to Filter, Sharpen. I always use Unsharp Mask. I like to keep my radius up to about 34, and then I can add, you know, whatever amount there we need for the sharpening. I'm going to keep this at about 20%, somewhere in that area. Then I don't want to sharpen the entire picture, I just want to sharpen her eyes. So again, we're going to do the layer mask, invert it. I'm going to grab my brush, it's white, the mask is black, so it'll paint over it. And I just sharpen her eyes. Now that looks a little bit fake, so we're going to adjust the opacity down. And there you can see the difference in that. Right, so going to my history here, I'm going to create another snapshot just to save here, but there's your original, here's where we were, here's where we are now. So original to now. I do want to change the tone a bit. It is kind of dark. So I'm going to go here, selective color. I'm going to come down to my neutrals, and here's basically where you can play with and change the tone of your photo depending on if you want it warmer, etc. It really just depends on what you're going for with your picture. So I'm just going to play with that for a moment until I get it right. Or, well, really there is no right way, I guess, just where I want it. Okay, that's good for now. I'm going to merge that together, and then I'm also going to come into my levels, because I do want to brighten it up more, not in a color range. So, about there. Okay, I would like to add a little bit more contrast to this photo, so I'm going to do my curves. I'm going to bring my shadows down a little bit, and I'm going to bring those highlights up. So, there we go. Okay, and that is pretty much it, the basics of editing your portraits. You can still keep playing with it, you can adjust the colors and everything. I think the yellow in her skin is just a little bit strong, so I would, tone that down just a little bit, maybe add a little bit of blue into that, or, yeah, there we go, that looks better. A lot of people like to use actions. Some photographers consider it cheating. Personally, I don't. I love them. I use the actions from the Florabella collection because they are all great. Any of you who don't know what actions are, basically they are presets that you can load into Photoshop, and seriously, just with the click of a button, like your lifestyle pink is what I've been using for this shoot a lot. You just click play, let it run through. It takes a moment because I have so much stuff on my computer and my external hard drive isn't working, so bear with me a second. Yep, and you can see there's the difference there. I also like the Florabella actions because most of the time they don't overdo it, and also you can come in here and kind of adjust, the different settings. Like, I don't like the warm pink haze on the photos, but that just really, you can see that, like, wow, it cleans up the photo a lot. You can find a lot of actions on DeviantArt and things like that, or, you can just do it yourself. A lot of the stuff in these actions I could do myself. It's just the actions are a lot faster, and who doesn't like faster editing? Right, well, this was my first tutorial. Hope you guys learned something. And I guess let me know if you have any questions. Okay.